Proper documentation is the key to working comfortably within your team. And the best documentation is generated, not written. Hi, my name is Tomasz, I'm a former tech lead and manager, and today I will show you how to generate OpenAPI documentation from your TypeScript Express application. So let's say we have a simple Express app written in TypeScript. It consists of only one business area and has the main file that is being executed when the app starts. All it does is importing the actual app, exposing the port and listening on it. In here we have app, which basically takes our routing, creates an app, uses JSON for payloads, and uses the business area in the main route. A route looks like this. It's taking a controller, initializing it with the service injected, and basically it's a router that doesn't do much, to be frank. It's just a very little validation and just returning a controller and console logging if something is wrong. That's that. And we have a controller, which is a class. It uses a bit of DI to have the service injected. This is, for testing. If you want to have your service mocked, for example, that's a great way to do it. It's basically having a few methods that are just returning tsoa from base tsoa or for tsoa update, whatever you need, and that's basically it. We don't really need anything in here, anything more in here. So this is like the basic example. I also have tests written just to see if everything works. So it just creates a little seed at the beginning. Then we are checking if it's returning the list proper. Then we check whether it's creating a tsoa properly, we listen to music with Radiohead, of course. We check whether it can mark the tsoa as done, and whether it deletes the tsoa. So let's just try running it, and yeah, it works. Hold on, let me pin it. So yeah, it works. Perfect. Right. So this test will be used to verify whether everything works well. But yeah, since we have this, that's all for preparations. So what we will do is we will add tsoa, tsoa. This is our library that adds annotations to your code that will bring your controller as a source of truth for documentation generation. So yeah, let's install it. So npm tsoa. Right. So it comes fully typed, so there's nothing more we need to install. So the second thing we need to do is to create a tsoa.json file and have some configuration. So it's rather straightforward in here, and it's just entry file, and it will be source/main ps, so this one. We will have controller path, so not really that, but like this /controller. So it will go this is a glob path, so it will go through source and it will scan every directory there is and will look for a controller.ts file. For this example, we could just go with this and it would be fine, but this is more, let's say, future-proof. And now what we want to what to do is to define our specification configuration. So first of all, output directory, yeah, maybe not so Swagger, but I would like to go with this. And this is wrong. And there is also a spec version. So we can either say 2 or 3. 2 will be like the old Swagger, that is not really like mainline at the moment, and the second one is 3.0, which is the OpenAPI standard, and I strongly suggest going with the OpenAPI. And there is another thing that we need to extend our generated documentation with servers, because otherwise it will just, yeah, this is fine. Otherwise it will just say no, so you won't be able to perform any kind of connection from your documentation to your server. Obviously we can define more, so we can serve, yeah, exactly, production server, staging server, whatever we need. And there will be a drop down in the documentation. Right, so that's basically it for the config. Very simple, 16 lines. So yeah, going further, we need to extend our controller, and this is very straightforward. So first we need to import route and tags from tsoa or tsoa. So route, we are making this as a route. It can be named, but since this is a main URL for us, there's no need. tsoa adds the slash at the beginning for every route. So if we don't do this, it will be just this, right? So this is one, and another is tags. Yeah, exactly, chore. Excuse me. These are tags, so if we don't put anything in here, it will be just marked as default, and it's better to have it named. So now what we want to do is to mark our routes, because all of these, actually these are not routes, these are methods, right? But what we want is to mark them as routes. So this is get all chores, maybe not the best name for domain driven, but okay. So we need to get for this, so get annotation, and that's it. This alone will tell our documentation generator that this is a file that consists a route that has tags, its tag is chore, and that has one route with a slash that is a get. That's that. What we also can do is we can extend, this is optional by the way, but very helpful. We can extend our controller with the controller from tsoa. Nothing fancy, it will just add header and status manipulation. But since this is an extension, we need to use super in our controller. That's that. Okay, so we have something done in here. Let's see if anything happens. So terminal and tsoa spec. No errors, that's good. And we have a docs and swagger. So far so good. Yeah, we have a chore, which is our type. So it's, even if we don't specify the type, it can guess it for us. So yeah, it has a type with name, description, ID, and done, which is a boolean. Let's just verify. Yeah, chore extends base chore, so name, description, ID, and done. Perfect. All are required. In here, yeah, it probably requires version exactly, but this is something we can define later. Okay, so the operation ID get all chores 200. Okay, okay, type array, and returns the complement. So it returns this. Let's see how it looks in the preview. Perfect. Local server, great. Responses, 200 is okay with the tsoa. Great. Perfect. So now we have this. Let's go further. The most challenging one will be post. Simply because it requires defining the body and defining a status. Because, sorry, success response. Yeah. What do you know? This Copilot thing really works sometimes. Right. So, and we define success response of 201. And unfortunately, this is just for documentation reason. We need to define this in here. So this sets status 201. If we wouldn't do this, we would have status 200, which is fine, but it's better to have statuses that are corresponding with the HTTP status definitions. So 201 is created, 200 is okay, 422 is wrong input and whatever. So yeah, we have this, and we need to define the body for this. So this is like the most annoying thing, because we need to do this, the characters are not valid here. Okay, so in order to change this, we need to go in here and enable experimental decorators, and that's it. I always forget about this, but yeah, this is important. So we have a post that has body. This will also be interesting because this is a put, and put allows 200 as a proper status, but we need to define path in here. So just like we did with the body, we are defining path and we are defining body in here. Honestly, this is as simple as that. And what's important exactly, we need ID because this is in path. So the same will be with delete, yes, import delete from tsoa, and in here as again path with ID. Good. So adding this will mark this path in the controller that it requires / something, and it will be easier to identify. Right, so we have it, right? Let's see. No errors again, perfect. Yeah, request is this, because this is only what we need, and response will be 201 created, and we'll return the whole array of tsoas, updated list, let's say. Does it make sense in our controller? The first thing, yeah. So create tsoa. So what does create tsoa do? It returns an array of tsoas. Yeah, creates a new tsoa with random ID, marks as not done, pushes it, and returns the whole tsoas. Perfect. So we have full Swagger documentation with honestly just a few lines of code. It's a very, very simple procedure, and it really helps your colleagues and yourself eventually, because it's easier to read this documentation rather than just going through the code, going through controller, going through routing. So that's perfect. But what if we don't want to use IntelliJ's built-in browser? It has this, redocly. But what if we don't want to use it? What if we don't want to rely on local rendering? What if we want to expose these routes somewhere? That's actually easy to do. We need to install one thing, Swagger UI Express, and install its types. Yeah, great. So before we can go on, we need to enable importing JSON in TypeScript. So resolve JSON module to true. This will allow us to import JSON file as a regular file, like any other module. Okay, so let's go to main. Let's import Swagger UI from Swagger UI, well, yes. And let's import Swagger docs from docs/Swagger JSON. That's it. And now app use /docs Swagger UI serve exactly Swagger UI setup with Swagger docs. Save it, and that's that. So let's see if it runs. Let's go with the dev mode. Doesn't really matter. And we have it. Yep. So we can even try it out. And here it's empty execute, so it returns 200. Okay. We can use a post, so try it out again. Yeah. Name string execute, perfect. And it returns name string, description string, random ID, done, false. So let's try again with this one, and it also returns what we need. So yeah, we can close this now. Perfect. So we are home, right? We can now generate and expose our documentation for our colleagues to use. Perfect. But there's more. No, really. tsoa can do much more than that. Let's see. Currently we are defining our routes in here with the slashes and in here, right? Not the perfect thing, because it requires us to do our job twice, to define these things twice. Plus, all the validation has to be defined in here, which is okay-ish, but not the perfect solution, right? So let's make tsoa generate our routing and validation as well. To do this, first we need to open the tsoa.json and add another key, routes. In here we just define routes dir, and I like to have it in ss/API. We can define the name if we decide. We can, we can name it index and have it imported from a path. We can leave it as this, and it will have the name route. Not really important at the moment. So we have this, and now we can generate from what we have already, from nothing new, from what we have in this controller. We can already generate our new routes. So it is like this. It's auto-generated, so it's not the prettiest file, right? It's actually it's kind of bad and has this warning everywhere, but it has our models, it has a template servers, it has our routing, it tries to do some validation whether it is defined. So yeah, we can use this instead of our routes written by hand. Let's try to define this. So it's really straightforward. So in here we have chores. Let's remove this and remove this and just import register routes. Exactly. So it's just register routes of app. Yeah, so we are registering routes with the app. If we won't do this, if this won't happen, our tests will fail. Exactly, 404, nothing exists in there. So let's bring it back, and our tests should work now. Exactly, they are working perfectly. So this means our routes, this can be deleted. Delete anyway, yeah, it's exported in here, so we can also delete this. Great. So now we have everything auto-generated. What we need to do is to define things in the controller, and everything will be added by the tsoa generator. But there's one more thing I would like to do, and this is more exact validation. So we have a base chore, and right now it's just a name and a string that is required, but let's say we want to have length verified as well. So it's not the prettiest thing, but we can do it like this as a comment. Just add this as a comment, and now if we generate our routes, you will notice that it checks for minimum length. So let's try to write a test that will throw if chore name is less than 3 characters. Exactly. So kinda, yeah, I really like how this works, how this compiler works. So description not really important, but hi two-letter word. So we are trying to post it, send it, yeah, and it should be 400. Perfect. If we do this as hiya 201, so it was fine. If we set it for 3, min length is 3, so it should be 3 or more. So yeah, let's see, tests work, tests are working. Let's run it one more time. Docs, see how it works. Yeah, so everything is fine. Chore, yeah, description, string, base chore. Naming could be better here, but base chore, yeah. In post, exactly. Great. So schema strings, yeah. So as you see, example value, cool. So as you see, adding just a few lines into the controller can really make a difference and will generate a proper documentation that you can use and you can give to your colleagues on the front end or in other services that will communicate with you via HTTP. And with this, you just have to remember to keep your controllers clean. In the next video, I will show you how to take the documentation we've just generated and turn it into a fully typed client for HTTP. So you don't have to worry about typings, you don't have to worry about models, you don't have to worry about URLs or anything like this. Stay tuned for it. And that's it. Now you have a fully working documentation generator for your project. You can generate documentation, you can host it and expose it to your world. And on top of that, you have validation and routing, all based on your annotations. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time. Happy coding!